Hello all of you wonderful people and banana-handed gaming enthusiasts. My name is Jules Gill and I have a confession to make. I didn't own an N64 as a kid. Wait, just put down your Z-targeted rocks for a second. I did actually get one, but not until I was in my 20s. And you know what actually surprised me the most about this console? Not its weird controller or its ability to survive a plane crash and when you dropped it, it just still managed to run. But no, it was in fact that not actually that many games were made for it. 296 games, in fact, were released for this console. And while it does sound like a lot, the PlayStation 1 had 1,300 games released in its life cycle. Therefore, you'd think with such a meager library, in comparison that is, that every single game would be rightly remembered by the fans. Well, no, because strangely enough, if you speak to many N64 lovers, they'll reel off all their love about the Zelda games, the Mario titles, and all of the first-party monoliths, but there are a fair few that have slipped under the radar. Well, my friends, I've got a bloody shovel. So let's unearth these gems together as I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 most underrated N64 games ever. Number 10, Mace, The Dark Age. Now, we all know that the N64's key fighting game is the original Smash Bros, which of course has spawned an incredibly successful franchise. Yet for those that prefer their beat-em-ups with a bit more brutality, there's Mace, The Dark Age, an arcade port which will satisfy the bloodlust of any old school gamer. Now, Mace, The Dark Age comes with a story of sorts, if you can call it that, which speaks of ancient orders sent to take out a dark conjurer, doing a lot of karate chopsticks because it's as batty as that. But much like my own backstory, that's not actually that important, as we just need to murder everyone. The reason to play this game is actually thanks to its arcade home tight as hell gameplay. It's impressive at the time visuals, which still hold up remarkably well for a game from 1997. Now true, it is very Mortal Kombat in places, but as far as violent N64 brawlers go, Mace is a definite winner. Unfortunately, it never managed to get its own franchise off the ground, but to simply dismiss this as an MK clone with a K would be to do this game a huge disservice. Check it out. Number 9, 007, The World Is Not Enough. Now, I know that you can't really separate the N64 from the brilliant greatness that was GoldenEye, but what if I were to tell you that there were actually 2 amazing 007s for Ninty's big grey bastard? The World Is Not Enough might not have been as popular as its bigger sibling, but it is a brilliantly polished gem in its own right. Its main issue actually is that it didn't manage to reinvent the wheel as much as GoldenEye did, but you know what? It doesn't always need to be a shake-up to the experience for that experience to still be good. Well, great even. Utilising the N64's expansion pack, graphically this game is a dramatic leap from the rest of the pack, and the multiplayer was a true joy to play. Mainly because Eurocom took their notes from the GoldenEye formula itself. Fast, split-screen gaming with a myriad of playstyles to choose from is always going to go down well for any fans of GoldenEye or just multiplayer shooters in general. So if you haven't checked it out, The World Is Not Enough is definitely worth your time. It's a game that will leave you pleasantly surprised because it doesn't try to turn the industry on its head and instead burrows down on what made the previous title so utterly brilliant. Number 8, Beetle Adventure Racing. When it comes to Nintendo races, for many it starts and ends with Mario Kart. And you know what, that's actually with good reason, as those games are they're that good. But this is the thing. That means that unfortunately, a lot of people bypassed Beetle Adventure Racing, which, despite its goofy title, is a brilliant racing game that deserves your attention, because the detail that has been ploughed into this game is truly impressive, and it's got a lengthy set of challenging courses full of secrets and shortcuts, and actually means that it totally earns the right to use adventure in its title. And while it might lack the kind of variety or cutesy aesthetic of Mario Kart, or even the Diddy Kong Racing franchise, for pure racing mechanics, it gives both prominent titles a run for their money. Plus, I mean, this game was made by EA before they were crap, back when they were doing Need for Speed and doing it very well, and it had already taken the world by storm at this point, so there was a real sense of crossover between these two franchises, which, trust me, made for one hell of a game. Number 7, Hybrid Heaven. So imagine the scene. You own an N64, and at school you have to listen to your PS1 mates bang on and on about this brilliant new game called Metal Gear Solid. In maths class, all you hear are the whispers of its excellent graphics. At lunchtime, all you hear about are the revolutionary approach to stealth. And as you're climbing a rope in gym class, you finally had enough of them talking about the off-the-wall and incredible off-kilter writing and boss battles and so on and so on. And you know what? You just let go. And as you sail towards the floor, ready to embrace that concussion and hopefully forget that you can't play MGS on the N64, you suddenly remember Hybrid Heaven. What's Hybrid Heaven, I hear you ask? Well, basically, it's Metal Gear, but for the N64, and it is utterly bananas, with impressive visuals, a plot about capturing world leaders and turning them into alien hybrids, or clones, whatever the game is, and gameplay that focuses as much as it did on action as it did about subterfuge. Hybrid Heaven was a treat from start to finish. Plus, if you're to believe internet legends, then, you know, there's one that goes around that says Hideo Kojima actually worked as a writer for the game. Although those sources are pretty spotty and sparse. So take that with a pinch of salt. Still though, it would explain why this plot is absolutely mind-melting in places. Check it out. Thank me later. Number 6, Blast Core. On paper, Blast Core is deceptively simple. Your aim is to smash the ever-loving fuck out of anything that stands in the way of this van that contains a nuclear weapon. If you don't, then the whole town is going to get a liberal dose of radiation-based death. So you better get to smashing, fella. And yet, while the action is indeed front and center of this game, it's actually kind of a puzzler in disguise, because you need to find out which vehicles and abilities are best for clearing the path as quickly as possible. And these vehicles, my God, do they have some mad abilities, such as being able to punch everything either side of them, or cars that you can only use to destroy buildings if they land on top of them and crush them with the armors underneath, which means that you have to like fling them off ramps and then crush them down. That's not a very, that's a counterintuitive way to destroy a building. I'm just saying it, but it's very fun. Very fun indeed. Plus, if you ever needed any more reason to play this game, then you just need to know that it was developed by Rare, aka the holy grail of Nintendo developers, and you don't even need an N64 to play it right now, because you can pick up a copy of the Rare replay and have a bash on that. Mwah! Delightful. Number 5, GOEMON'S Great Adventure. For platform games, the N64 might be the best console, and say it with me, kids. However, that doesn't mean that it just stopped at Mario 64 or other titles from Rare. No, no, my friends. For you need to go out and try GOEMON'S Great Adventure, as this is right up there with other top caliber titles. With its 2.5D linear style, it can't actually hold a candle to the complexity of your Marios and your Banjo-Kazooies in terms of technical powerhousing, but in terms of charm, humor, and level design, it ticks all of the boxes. Goemon is a delightful protagonist who desperately needs a revival soon, and you can just feel the love that has been poured into every section of this game. Now, technically, Goemon did star in a 3D title prior to this, but the Great Adventure truly is that. A great experience for gamers, young and old. Number 4, Wettrix. Addictive, ingenious, and ever so satisfying, this water management-based puzzle game, yes, that is the best way to describe it, was so much fun to play. Now, you might be looking at this footage behind me and just saying to yourself, nah, it seems a bit difficult, pal. But trust me, if you think of this as like Tetris, but turned on its side and just drowned with water, then you'll start to get to grips with what's actually going on here. Now, in Wettrix, you're given pieces of land and are tasked with maintaining a steady flow of water falling onto a square playing surface. Now, you build dams, like reservoirs, increase or decrease the man-made walls to affect the water's flow, and as a last resort, if things are getting too much for you, you can just boil away the excess liquid by way of fireballs. Yes, water management has never been this much fun. Now, your objective is to keep the water on the surface and away from the drain below. That's actually easier said than done though, trust me. But with Tetris 99 doing absolute numbers at the moment, surely there is scope for a game like this to make a comeback, right? Number 3, Shadow Man. Okay, so I'll be the first to admit this. I'm not actually a huge fan of this game, but before you burn me to death, remember what I said in the opening. I got an N64 very late in the day, and I'd actually already played Shadow Man on the PS1, and that was, how best to put this? Oh yes, hot garbage. But the N64 version, much better, much more appealing. Now this game, that takes place mostly inside an insane asylum built inside an alternate hell dimension, is sure to get the emo kid within all of us excited. And knowing then that you play as a kind of voodoo-based bounty hunter, well, it just turns up that dial even further. Now Shadow Man is so utterly odd from start to finish and carries with it a truly unique aesthetic. Sure, the scenes have dated pretty badly, or dated about as well as I did on Tinder. Yeah, it was a long, lonesome time there, but you know what? Its clunky B-movie charm actually does appeal in a lot of ways. If you're looking for a good campy horror show along the likes of Resident Evil, then the N64 owners have always got this in their back pocket. It's just a shame that the ports of this game suck a lot, so I never really wanted to play it again. But I'm glad I did. Number 2, Jet Force Gemini. Perhaps the best developer in the N64's life cycle, Rare were best known for their platformers. But, as I showcased before with Blast Corps, they were more than capable of turning their hand to, well, pretty much anything and turning it into gold. Enter Jet Force Gemini, which, despite being a challenging and brilliantly made 3D sci-fi shooter, somehow managed to fall into obscurity. I never really understood this. It reviewed so well. But I guess it's a case of Rare doing their other games so well that they kind of overshadowed this one. What a problem to have, right? Being too good. The planets and the aliens that were presented within this game all were just so charming and detailed, and blasting them apart was just such glorious, gory fun. In fact, I am surprised at how gruesome this game is, with heads and limbs just flying all over the place as you blast your way through space. Now you got 3 characters to choose from, one of which was a rocket-powered, gun-mounted dog. Yes, that is a real character, and yes, we obviously all played as this. And they all had different varieties of playstyles. So Jet Force Gemini has a lot going for it. So do yourself a favor, hunt this gem down, and then rip everything apart. Seriously, it is so violent. And number 1, Space Station Silicon Valley. One of the wildest concepts ever stuffed into a cartridge, Space Station Silicon Valley is truly one of a kind. A madcap romp through the world of the animal kingdom by way of a kind of Westworld planet of robots. It is a criminally underrated and underplayed gem and an unsung masterpiece of the N64 era. Now you play as Evo, a robot who has crash-landed on an inhospitable planet. Now your body is unfortunately smashed to pieces. We've all been there. Right, lads, and you are then required to transfer your computer chip brain from robot animal to robot animal, working your way up the food chain to find your body parts and then facilitate your escape. Now, the ingenuity and inventiveness of this game is incredible, and it allows you to take the form of elephants, bears, rocket-powered penguins, kind of like tank/tortoise hybrids, and you fight your way through like 4 environments, and it's just beautiful because it's all wrapped in this humor that makes everything feel like a fantastically personal tale. I cannot level enough praise at this game, and I wish there was something like this in the current day and age. But you will not hear me complaining one bit at having to plug in this grey big bad bastard back in and having another playthrough. Because you know what, while it took me a while to get there, the N64, it's for life. And there we go, my friends. Those were the 10 most underrated N64 games ever. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below, as well as what else you would have put on this list, because this is all about love for Ninty's grey powerhouse. So put down your favourite N64 games down below, because I want to hear each and every one of them. I only had a small library, so let's see if we can list all 296 games between us. Anyway, whatever you are getting up to, my friend, whether it is staying at home and playing an N64 or going out there and having a jolly in real life, I hope you have a fantastic day, whatever you are getting up to. Remember to treat yourself fairly, both mentally and physically, and you are awesome. Never forget that. So go out there and smash it, you big ledge. All right? Anyway, I'll speak to you soon, but if you want to chat to me sooner, then you can do so by following me at RetroJ with a 0 over on Twitter. You have been awesome. Never forget that. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.